kind of straying away from something a little bit different tonight. A really special story. Daniel Dwyer, of course, other sports personality, and Anthony West did a really good story on a guy we know very well, and Chris Brown, a member of the 2008 Sooner team that was a 1,000-yard rusher at Oklahoma. But things have changed a little bit dramatically since he left Norman. Let's hear from that.
He explodes that time inside the 30, down to the 20. Makes a couple, 45, 40. This is Brown to the 30. And it rolls out of bounds. On third down, Brown breaks the tackler inside the 10. Touchdown Oklahoma.
Texas Tech versus Oklahoma. That was the game that the bright lights had shined upon me. And I had, I think, like 2 touchdowns out there against Texas Tech, and I mean that was the start of something new.
Brown cut off, slashes back, touchdown OU.
For that Texas Tech game, my eyes were focused in on that game, and I mean once I jumped in and I ran that first touchdown, I think it was probably like 40 yards, maybe, or 30 yards. I felt good. I felt good about the season.
With Brown smashing into the end zone.
Highly recruited coming out of Alexandria High School in Louisiana, running back Chris Brown had a chance to stay in his home state, but instead chose Sooner Country.
I kind of felt better when I visited Oklahoma than when I visited down in LSU.
Brown would join the likes of other backs like Adrian Peterson, Moses Madu, and DeMarco Murray.
They played a big part. And once Adrian left, I mean, that's when the door opened for, you know, who gonna be another workhorse. And I worked hard for that position.
Like those standout Sooners before him and alongside him, Brown had quite the career at OU. In his junior campaign, Brown rushed for over 1,200 yards, had 20 touchdowns, and helped the Sooners get to the 2008 National Championship.
We knowing DeMarco is injured, and so me and Moses, we separated enough, and we weren't able to defeat Florida in that game.
Brown rushed for over 100 yards that game.
I feel pretty good about how my yards kept picking up, seen daylight a couple times, that I took the best advantages of the daylight that I seen.
Urban Meyer will celebrate.
But his performance still doesn't make up for the feeling of disappointment in losing to Florida.
It's tough thinking about that game. We weren't able to win it, and not being able to win it, you don't really get to share too much about it.
What's even tougher is thinking about what's happened since that game and the path he's gone down in the last 10 years.
The coach had told me, he said that he had his depth chart already made, and that I didn't make the depth chart, so he had to send me back home.
Following his senior year, Brown went to Denver, but was cut from the Broncos before the season started, leaving him with questions of what's next.
No, I ain't had no plans, so I just went back to campus and enrolled and took some more classes.
Brown not only continued his education, but also his training, hoping a team would contact him, but that call never came. Instead, Brown dropped out of school and moved back home to Louisiana, and that's when the downhill spiral began.
I was getting in trouble. So as soon as I got home, I was getting in trouble.
Brown says he was hanging out with the wrong crowd, struggling with drug addiction and stealing.
I'm out there and I'm taking stuff that you can sell to have money and stuff like that.
Using the money he made to buy drugs, food, and clothes.
A few times I went to jail, that the judge was, he gave me like a couple months and stuff like that. And that's why my grandparents, she was like, "Now you need to go ahead and get from around here, because You know, it seems like everything you do, you wind up in some trouble.
So nearly 2 years ago, Brown returned to Oklahoma looking for a fresh start. And while he says he's been sober since coming back to the place he once called home,
I've been sober in the right mindset and not letting it tear me up and eat me up and you know, and throw me away.
his struggles are far from over. Brown, who was once on top of the college football world, was now at one of the lowest points of his life, dealing with homelessness.
Well, a lot of faces had seen me up in Norman and dealing with where I was gonna stay and stuff like that.
Every night wondering where he would stay and thinking about football.
I do be thinking about the game. Just gaining experience, gaining toughness and experience on the field.
Touchdown, Oklahoma. Chris Brown, the junior from Louisiana.
While Brown still has hopes of getting back on the field one day, he says his focus right now is taking each day as it comes.
I'm walking step after step now, and I didn't let all my habits and stuff like that, you know, take off, and now I'm focused on, you know, getting some type of job.
But if it were up to him, the job and football would be one in the same.
If I had this job right now, I'd probably be a part-time coach at Oklahoma.
After all, there's no place like home, especially when he continues feeling the love and support from the OU community, nearly a decade since he last stepped onto the field.
We're gonna get all that for you, brother. You know what it is. Love you, my guy.
Love you too, bro. Just know that Boomer sooner. They can know Boomer sooner. That's what we say at Oklahoma. Boomer sooner.